Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the SZR Autumn Race Series out on Watopia. We're about to get going into the race right now, but we do want to go over the race rules as well as a couple of ways that you can interact with the broadcast directly. I'm over at zwiftpower.com taking a look at what the event is all about and the race rules for today in the SZR series. It is a 12 race series. We are on race number 11 of the 12 actually right now, and there are no power-ups, no TT bikes. The race will be, I believe, a best of, let's see here really quick here. If there are at least 10 riders in a class, nope, that's not right. Let's go ahead and just read through it all here. Point series, points are awarded on the basis of category. For each category that finishes with a minimum of 10 participants, the following points will be rewarded. So they're rewarding 1st through 10th for each of the races. First place actually grabs a solid 25 points actually. Second is 18, third 15, and all the way down to 1 point for 10th place in each of the categories. The SZR race series will run for 15 weeks from the 13th of September through the 27th of December. Excuse me, the best out of 12 races. So it's 15 races total, and it's the best 12 out of the 15. The A category is about to take off, actually. It's actually a little different this week. It was in the past, I believe, mass starts, but the A category is going to be starting separately, it looks like, this time through from the rest of the categories. Actually, I want to welcome the program today, though, also our co-commentator. Sorry, Quinn's been hanging out in the background here like, Nathan, just be quiet and get into the racing here. But Quinn LaFay is jumping in here as well right along with us. Quentin, welcome to the program as the A's are taking off. I think it's going to be an interesting race today.
Hi everyone. Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one. See how it plays out on a very fast course. One lap of the figure 8 is really fast, and we got one solid leader for the series. And we'll see how he reacts to the different attacks that are going to happen now.
Yeah, we got some interesting attacks going on already, it seems like, with riders going left and right a little bit. Maybe a little bit. There have been a couple of issues up front in the A categories, I've noticed, with the start of the races once in a while. We do have Grimshaw, it looks like, here. I believe one of the leaders amongst the A category, actually. I'm going to double check the rankings real quickly here as the riders do start taking off out on course. I'm looking through for the SZR Autumn Race Series, and it looks like, I believe, Kim Little, current race leader, series leader, excuse me, Matt Johnson, and then Grimshaw, there he is actually, Tom Grimshaw, Team Grimshaw, also at the front end of the current series. That's your top three, Kim Little, Matt Johnson, and Grimshaw. But we are having a little bit of struggle here, it looks like, right now with the start of the race for the A category. We'll see if riders keep getting turned around here and there, or keep disappearing into another dimension, is what I've been calling it, out on course once in a while. And but we do have the C category also starting to take off as well. We'll see if they get off to a little bit more of a solid start here as we bring in their race start from our second feed. So up toward the front, it does look like. Now for the categories, Quentin, it is for the A category 4.0 plus, 3.2 to 4.0 for the B. And for the C, then it's 2.5 to 2.2, and the D category 2.5 and under for your FTP out there today. So all the races are going to kind of be around there. But for these starts, I know you race a lot. What kind of over effort do you see over FTP from the start of these races?
Well, the start of the races are always like something like a cyclocross, actually. Like, everyone wants to be in the front pack, and it's known now that at the start of a Zwift race, it goes all out for like maybe 20 or 30 seconds. And if you're not prepared for that, you could lose the race in the first 20 seconds of the race.
And that usually establishes something, right, Quentin? Like, that's an establishment at that point. Like, it's not like you can just kind of let that go and trust that it's going to be coming back because the group's going to chase that back. The way that the groups tend to function, it seems like, is they're gone if that initial attack gets away.
Yeah, exactly. Like once a group of maybe 10 or 15 or more are gone, you're never seeing them back because the draft effect makes it that they are going so much faster than you. And if you don't grab the wheels right at the start of the race, you're basically done for the day. And it can be a long day trying to chase the pack, and you can lose over a minute in the first kilometer.
Yeah, and with the way that the dynamics are out on course, I think all the riders at the start of these races are all in trying to hang on to the pace. And looking here through the C category right now, it is a little over. 3.2 is the max we're seeing from them, but usually for this first K or two, you have, like Quentin was saying, that all-out effort over threshold, trying to hang on to the pace, and the initial splits do start to happen here. So in this C category, we are seeing a 3-second gap already. There were 113 signed up for this race actually in the C category. Actually, I believe it was over 100 in the B as well. In the A category, we had about 80 plus riders or so, and they are actually just exiting the Ocean Boulevard. It seems like actually at the start of these races seems to be the struggle time right now recently for Zwift for some reason in the events. And now it does look like things have calmed down a little bit, and we do have, it does look like Webb here up toward the front, right along with Conley coming out of Canada. Tucker is there as well. Real Deal is there, it looks like, as well as Hansen. Shum is showing up, as long as MacD, and Kim Little is here, currently with 166 points. He's done 8 races. I'm not sure he's touchable, Quentin, in this series right now.
Well, it definitely is not. We saw the first one gets 25 points, and he's almost got 100 points of advantage over the second one. So maybe at the end of today, it will be mathematically untouchable. If he does a good place today, it will be untouchable for good.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. It looks like Kim Little is going to be walking away with the SZR series as long as he finishes out today. 100 points advantage. If he's got that much, he might actually have it in the bag already, but definitely showing up, doing his laps on the Champs Elysees maybe with how much of a lead that he does have, because Matt Johnson, 79 points. Grimshaw, we are seeing there sitting in third with 61 points. I'm not sure he can be caught. I mean, there's only, 15 races. We're on 11 now. So as long as it is going to be the best 12. So he does still have to complete in a top spot, actually. So I was doing my math incorrectly a little bit there. With 79 points to Matt Johnson, the ODZ rider would still have to show up, grab some points out there to, on the races. But it does have a little opportunity there if Kim does not show up and at least grab some points. So we'll see if Matt can take some wins out there. It's, nothing's impossible at this point, but we'll have to see if Kim does throw down. I mean, we did not see any points from him actually in a couple of the past races, but almost every one that he jumped into, win. I'm seeing a third place, another win. So right up front in the first 4 races, it was a W followed by a bronze and another W, then a second and a win. And I think he took 2 races off there actually. So a third and a second. So every race that he's participated in, he's been in the top 3 actually, Quentin. Every single race.
Yeah, well, one thing though for today, and what thing that we might have to remember is that the series are still there's still a month to go, and I know I talked to Kim a couple of days ago, and he wasn't feeling too good after Team Worlds this Saturday, and maybe that's why he asked for the help of some of his teammates, like we saw Casey over here, and the only thing he needs to do to win this series is to show up and maybe do 1 or 2 top 10s in December, and he's basically done. So he's got no pressure. So even if he's feeling a little bit under the weather today, it doesn't matter much because, well, we know how good he is. So we know he's going to be in the top spot. Maybe not for the win, but that doesn't matter because as long as he get points on 2 or 3 races in the last 5 remainings, he will be in the top spot in the end. But I mean, knowing Kim, I know he's gonna want more than points.
Yep. And no, Kim, he always goes for it. That's for sure. He does have some support with Team Experimental. I'm seeing Gray in here, as well as, like you said, Casey Shum. Casey actually said in chat just now they are feeling a little bit sick. And so they're going to give it heck, though, they said. And so it'd be interesting to hear what the team bus sounds like right now. Probably not great, actually. But it is only one lap of the Watopia figure 8. They're going to head on up the reverse climb here, and it's going to be the first selection point out on course for the A category right here. And riders are starting to make their way forward. The tension is going to be coming up a little bit. A little bit of those heart rates going to be rising just from the reality of what's on its way here. As we look at Nordstrom coming out of Sweden, also it looks like Emil for Team Chalk there, as well as W. Uding there, right along the middle of that pack. But now Team Experimental working their way forward. It looks like now back to the middle of the pack. Nobody attacking early on here. And they're going to wait up for, it looks like, the climb proper. But Johnson is here. He's been showing up consistently, 141. And now we do see attack, though, off the front here. What do you think is going to happen here? Kim Little, not feeling too well, but 7 watts per kilogram right from the get-go. Maybe going for a KOM here today.
Yeah, we always see this first climb of the Watopia figure 8 going pretty fast, because that's the only part when you can make the peloton explode, and especially in the steep part, that's where you gotta put your effort, because if you get with the group when it flattens out, you can't make any difference, and it's gonna drag everyone with you. And then it's going to come down to who can put the 2-minute effort in the forward KOM. And I'm not sure Team Experimental wants that. It's easier to control a group of 10 than a group of 30. So they might want to make some differences right away. And that would be a logical thing to do for them.
Looks like you're right about that, actually. Look at the helicopter view. We do have, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 riders off the front here. We're seeing Mr. Osymmetric there, Johan Gred, Matt Johnson, Jacobson, Mac D is in there as well, Hansen, Gray, Little, Webb, and Shum. And it's actually 3 experimental riders, like you were saying, trying to maybe break things apart and not looking for that forward KOM to be the decider, but maybe make a little bit more of a decision here with 3 experimental riders in there, soloing out a lot of the other riders. I mean, Vision's going to be on their own. It looks like unattached Hansen there as well. TFC is going to be on their own. Johnson, 1 ODZ rider. And so perhaps experimental making this selection super early, Quentin.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good move on their part. Like, you definitely want a group with as few riders as you can, and as much as team riders as you possibly can as well. But the thing is, if the group behind is bigger, they might have an opportunity to come back. So it's important to have riders that are willing to work with you on the front of the race. And I think, like, with the guys that we have here that are very confident, I'm thinking about like Webb or Gren. They are very offensive rider, and they are going to maybe not help Team Experimental, but they're definitely going to push the group forward. And even Matt Johnson is a very strong rider, and I don't think any of these guys are afraid that there is 3 Team Experimental. So the group might be gone already, because, well, they are all pretty strong riders. And I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how fast they climb this first KOM. And the winner of the race should be in the first group. Like, I think we see Ansen in the Kubeka kit, and he's a very good rider. And if he manages to stay in the front group all the way to the end, he might be one to work with as well.
You might be right about that too with Hansen here, as we do see him kicking up in the 10 watts per kilogram, grabbing a 3. Look at the times, Quentin. Yeah, we thought they were taking it easy. And I mean, that initial kick was strong, but then experimental, it looked like just kind of worked together at the front. And I wonder if perhaps, I'm not sure if the effort was that far over what they're usually doing, but experimental was working so well at the front end of that group, I think they were really pushing the pace. But a 328, 329, that is absolutely flying. And Webb calling for a medic in game right now. 4 seconds though. And as you can see, this chase group is definitely not giving up the ghost just yet. They have not thrown their hands in the air, said it's good game at this point. That is, and we're also seeing is that Cederholm in the Norwegian kit here, riding for SK Rye, actually going to be a super strong rider as well, a teammate of Torgus Bert Hansen in real life. Torgus riding for Vision in game, but that is a super strong team in real life, actually. I'd be watching out for Cederholm, maybe playing it smart here, the Norwegian wire, hanging onto some wheels and looking for that sprint at the end. A lot of times we do see some solid sprints coming from the SK Rye teams.
Yeah, one thing we have to take in consideration is that Cederholm might be in his first Zwift race. I don't see any history on his past races, so he might be kind of a rookie, and they have plenty of veterans rider here. So as strong as he is, he's gonna have a tough time dealing with guys like Kim or Casey or Adam, or like even Hansen is now kind of a veteran rider. So he's gonna have to deal with that too, and it's gonna be interesting to see.
They're Quentin, sorry to interrupt you, but outside pick, they're also coming from Jens Fried Rasmussen saying that Jay Hansen maybe be an outside pick if Experimental can't take it.
Yeah, I mean, Hansen is a very good rider, long rider, but the one problem he has is on the duration. So if he can pass, if he can get to the top of the second climb with the first group, he's definitely got a shot at the sprint. But he needs to finish the race, and he needs to hold on to right to the end. And he's a
he needs to finish the race. At least finish the race,
exactly.
Hansen. You got to get to the end there, buddy.
it might sound funny, but he's a very strong rider. But I've raced him a couple of times, and usually he puts a very big effort at the beginning. He attacks a lot. But then at the end, he kind of lets it go. And if he wants to win, he has to hold on to the finish. And
we're seeing here, Quentin, outside of Hansen there, Real Deal Racing out of Canada, actually. E-Veal here. Looking over his shoulder, he's got a 2-second gap. Now, this is throwing a little bit of caution to wind, I would say. Hey, Quentin, on this move here. I mean, trying to go away into the SZRs. If he doesn't increase this lead right now, there's so many strongmen chasing that down, even after that chase group has brought things back together. You know, I'm not sure it's going to happen here. Steady 4.0, I think he's kind of egging on that laziness that you're trying. Like, if I go off the front of a race like this, I'm going to set it at what I know I can hold for quite a while. And sometimes the pack can get a little lazy if they don't see that watts per kilogram in that 5 or 6, and they think it's just going to come back, and then it continues to go out. But it looks like that's not going to happen. McCormick here. Now, see, again, though, 3.4, 3.6, they're just kind of letting them dangle out there, and it doesn't really go much of anywhere. He's not too much of a threat at this point. I think the pack knows what's going to happen here. And I think Veal might as well, Quentin.
Yeah, I mean, Veal is a very good rider. We saw him taking a 5th place on Team Worlds on Saturday on 120 kilometers. Yeah, he was 5th. He was in the final sprint. So they have to take that in consideration. I know Adam knows it because he finished right behind him. But one lap of the figure 8 is a 4th of what it was on Saturday. And I'm pretty sure these guys know this course backwards and forwards. And he's going to be one to take into consideration because he's very strong. He's got a good condition these days. He showed it this weekend. And yeah, Matt Johnson was in the mix as well. And all these guys, they can throw caution to the winds at some point because they know they can do it like 4 times. So doing only 1 lap, give them some wings or something to go and try to surprise the pack for once.
We're getting confirmation here that Ed Veal is actually on the National Canadian Track Team. We're being told, actually. So we watch out for him in the sprint. We are also looking at Adam Webb here, and it looks like Diner here, fellow teammate, saying that Webb is flying at the moment. Don't count him out. And I think perhaps on the forward climb, that shorter climb, who's that going to favor? That's my question. I'm thinking of Kim Little. I'm thinking Webb in here. I'm thinking maybe Cedarholm. I remember Cedarholm racing quite a while back, actually. This is a familiar name to me, but I think we don't have any ZwiftPower.com results because this is going way back, way back for Cedarholm. But I think Hansen as well, Matt Johnson as well, I think is going to hang on through that climb. But maybe a few of the others here that fell off with that initial group might not be able to hang on through that 2-minute climb. After this more tactical section, nobody going to really be making any attacks here, though. But I think we're going to have the cream rise to the top of this this pack when they make that forward Watopia climb. It's going to be all in at that point. To maybe have a selection, I would think about 5 or 6 riders, Quentin.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking at the list, and if I had to pick a group, I would say definitely Matt Johnson, Adam Webb, Kim Little and Casey Shum can be in there. Cedarholm seems to have like a good kick. I wouldn't count out McDonald and Veal. Well, especially Veal, and McDonald was in the mix on Saturday as well.
Really? TFC made it in the mix at the end of the race on Saturday. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if I recall right, he was like in the top 20 of the race. So he's a very good rider. Tom Grimshaw is one to count as well.
Yeah, sitting in third place currently, actually in the series, Quentin Grimshaw. So I mean, again, we got to take that into consideration. The motivation from the rankings that's coming through.
Exactly. We might have like 10 riders ish at the top of the climb, and then it's going to be a game of cat and mouse in the last few bumps, maybe the climb before the Italian village or the S's, and it's going to be if one can get away or if it's going to be a bunch sprint with 10 riders.
Now, looking through here, we are paying a lot of attention, I know, to the A category race right now. We lost a little bit of our other coverage there because of some of the mishaps at the start. So I am trying to get back into the B category race up toward the front right now. We'll also be using ZwiftPower.com to kind of be tracking that as well. There are so many riders in that B category. I've got a lot to click through right now, but we will jump into their race momentarily here as we are looking for them out on course here. I do believe this is actually the front of them right here with Jay Beiser. I actually raced that Julian back out on the bike. I did the ODZ coffee ride this morning, actually, and Beiser was actually out on course with me in a sprint for the finish at the end of that espresso lap, actually. Now he's back out on course 2 days, it looks like, for Mr. Beiser there, and it looks like he is currently, I believe, in that lead group right now for that B category. Always one to watch out for. Julian, I would give him, and he actually told me that he timed his sprint incorrectly, actually, this morning in that ODZ ride. Now, it does look like they are a little ways off the back, though, from a group that has gotten away and find themselves almost amongst some of the A category riders up ahead. So looking forward a little bit here. I think Beiser off the back here, so maybe not one that's going to be in that sprint. Looking forward, who is the current leader? D. Crisp here, riding for ODZ now. Currently made a team change. I'm assuming this is the front end of the Bs because Crisp is always one to be watching out for the wins in those B categories.
Yeah, I think so. Like, you have a very big peloton in the B category, and you have a lot of the Vikings team. And I think they're going to pull some teamwork out there. And they definitely have like 5 or 6 riders in the front peloton in the B cat. And they will be the shout for, definitely.
So the Vikings in the B category, you heard it from Quentin. That's his prediction there. It sounds like putting in the work, looking toward that front end of the peloton once they do hit that 2-minute climb. Now, we can't stress how much this is a very Gruppo Compacto type point of the race right now. They're out on the flatter sections, but they're all waiting at this point 4 things to go absolutely bonkers over the top of that 2-minute climb. Forward Watopia, everything you got for, I'm predicting a minute 40 or so in this A category, up and over the top of the climb, actually. So we'll see how things end up turning up for the A category. In this B category, I'm going to be thinking somewhere around a 155, probably a sub 2, I would think, Quentin, in the B category.
Yeah, I would think a sub 2 as well. You've got some very strong riders, and I see some very familiar names. I was talking about the Vikings team, and I think the SZ team, the organizers, are very well represented as well in the group, and they might be ones to count on as well.
But, so for those of you who are unfamiliar, what Quentin is speaking about there, the SZR actually has a kit in-game that you can see here, and all the riders with that SZR on there, the blue with the yellow SZR on there, is all on the same team actually there, as you can see. And so there are plenty of SZR riders hanging out in there. There's also the Vikings team. They are currently using, I believe, the Amgen Tour of California kit. If you're looking out for that, the blue and the black there as well. I'm currently on a BRT rider here, Bolt Racing team, using that Power Tap kit, the orange, gray, and white. So lots of teams, as we've been talking about. So those of you who are unfamiliar with Zwift, there are team tactics in game because of the drafting and the way that it simulates a real life type situation. There's definitely plenty of teams that have developed over time, and you have this entire racing community actually that gets together on a daily basis almost in order to race each other. And in this series right now, they're going to be working together to grab as many points as they possibly can for their team favorites. Actually, we're actually heading into the back with the A category actually in the underwater tunnel here, and it does look like it's pretty calm at this point. Gray, 132 beats per minute. I mean, Quentin, they're not working at all. They have all eyes, it looks like, on the exit of this underwater tunnel, and I think that's probably going to be the initial burst that they're going to be kicking into to try and soften up the legs, Quentin.
Yeah, I think so. Usually on the figure 8, you have a very calm period and during the tunnel underwater, and as soon as it kicks out, you see riders trying to work for their teammate, and yeah, usually you see some attacks before the climbs, but usually the people that attacks way before the climb, like right at the end of the tunnel, they pay for it in the next climb. So maybe we're gonna see Sean or Casey do some work for Kim, but I don't think any of the ones we mentioned earlier will attack very soon, except if it's like a guy very confident or maybe someone who tries to surprise everyone. I would say, on top of my head, I would say Webb or Hansen or Gren. One of these 3 might attack very early, but I don't think any other has any interest in attacking before the climb, and they might just let Team Experimental do the work until then.
Yeah, so we are seeing from the pack right here, not a whole lot going on, but this is going to be that moment you're talking about right now. Maybe somebody trying to make a little bit of a surprise, but a lot of these riders are very versed in racing on Zwift. Almost all of them have done 50 to some of them almost 300 races actually out on Zwift. So definitely going to have the experience under their belts to know when to go and when not to go. And as you can see here, nobody really that interested just yet to try and take off, using the pack, still getting that advantage of the draft at this point. So Shum, Hansen, all still in there. Kim, Little, Grimshaw, though, do we see Grimshaw still amongst the leaders? I have not seen the name actually as of recently. Are you seeing Grimshaw top 3 in the series right now? Has he made this league? Yes, he is. Excuse me. Yep, up toward the front there. There was just a moment where I lost Tom there for a second, but he's definitely there still with us there, Quentin. And this is going to be for some points here. And, you know, we've talked a ton about Kim, but second and third are very close in the series still, actually. Looking at the SZR racing results right now, it does look like only 18 points. 18 points separating those two at this point.
Yeah, and I would go even further, like up to place number 7. It's all in 30 points. So it's a matter of 1 or 2 races for even place 7 to come back. And of course, we saw Brett Boniface, who's not there, and I don't think he will be, because he was one of the main contenders in the early races, and he kind of disappeared along the way. But yeah, like place 2 to 7, do still have
Now
a
here we
shot for the
go.
podium.
Quentin, we're starting with the attacks now into
Yeah.
that climb that we've been hyping up to now at this point. It's going to be Kim Little here with 10 watts per kilogram, 166 beats per minute. He's got a little bit to work with. I think he's up into the high 170s, low 180s for right around that maxing out here. Conley, a newer racer out on course here, rides for Garneau, actually out of Canada. U23 super strong riders out there as well. I believe he took second or third yesterday in one of the races. Not sure if he got a relegation though, as organizers I believe are looking for some verification for a ZADA approval for him, but still super strong rider out there out on course. We've got S. Gray here, Team Experimental following up. Grimshaw still there, Johnson, so all the heavy hitters within the top 3 in the series, not dropped off. Casey Shum, always smart, always tactical, sitting on the wheels here. Webb there as well. Now, will Webb come around, have a second kick? It's usually the second kick, if you hang on, actually, that ends up winning up and over the top of the KOM, and that initial kick maybe not able to hang on after driving that heart rate extremely high. Kim Little now 6.4 on the back here, and now it looks like a 2-second gap though going back to Hansen, as you were saying earlier, not always one that can finish at the end of the race, and it looks like he will be one of the first ones to bite the dust along with Mac D. Chris Wanos also out of Poland, and Lindroff here also off the back. So it's going to be Johnson here just hanging on to Webb's wheel, and then it will be an attack from Grimshaw. Conley going right along with him. The KOM jersey now doubled up, 133. These times are insane, Quentin. Just absolutely flying going into the Zwift season right now. Kim Little looking to settle in and not interested to chase this down. You think he's going to call Casey Shum up if he can to come around and make the chase there. Matt Johnson there as well. Will this come back, Quentin? 5 seconds.
I think it will come back, because the two guys made a very big effort. Like, it was huge, like 133, and I haven't seen many riders do that. And the chase group is like 5, 6, 7 riders, and if they decide they want to come back, they will, because in the front they will wear out, and they won't have as much momentum at the chasing group at the back of the descent, and they might be caught at that moment.
Yeah, and you do see the working together now of Team Experimental. They've got all 3, Quentin, in the in the chase group now at this point, making their way to the front here. 6 watts per kilogram. Grimshaw, as you were saying, having to slow down. They can only hold that 6.0 plus, especially after a killer climb like that. You're not going to be able to go that far over threshold for too long after that kind of a climb. Now we're seeing Conley though with that uphill grind, maybe getting a little pushback in the force there from his smart trainer. Perhaps they're 7.6 watts per kilogram. Grimshaw just trying to hang on to the craziness here coming out of Conley's legs now, but now we're seeing Shum playing the sacrifice at the front for the team. Kim Little now trying to hang on, but now look at this, a little bit of a gap between him and Webb now, 6 meters. There's no draft at 6 meters, and Kim Little has a big screaming message up at the top of his screen right now that says close the gap. Little off the back now, maybe not feeling too good today, the current series leader, but it looks like he's going to get the advantage of the draft at this moment. 20 seconds back. Mac D, TFC now just trying to hold on to a few points to get into the standings, but I believe it is. Let's make a quick little head count here. Is it 10 off the front, though, is the question. As we try and get a look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. About 7 riders, I believe. I can't get a good look, actually, at them all. Let's go ahead and see if zippower.com can help us out with the current live results out on course here, as it may give us a good idea of how many have made it into this lead group. I believe it is going to be about 7, maybe 8 riders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 riders in this lead group right now. So there is still some points up for grabs a little ways back there.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that Veal and Hansen got dropped in the climb. That's how fast the front guys were going. And now that they're gone, it will be interesting to see who is going to work with
Johnson here, not holding up there, Quentin. Actually, a little bit of attack there from him. 7 watts per kilogram. Maybe looking for a little chink in the armor. I think he senses blood in the water here, as we've got a little bit of a gap here from Shum. I mean, Shum, Gray, and Kim put in a monstrous effort, actually, to chase down Conley there. Do you think they're suffering a little bit?
Yeah, I think they are. And now, at this point of the race, you have to give everything in every little climb that you find, because it can make a gap, and when you get 5 seconds, it can grow really fast, and you don't want to let someone go as that more race. And that's where Team Experimental has to play it smart, is that depending on their strategy, either they want to try to attack and give Kim some points and some safe points, or they are going to wait for the sprint. And we saw that Kim was very fast on the climb. That's his domain, and it will come down as what tactic they're gonna use. Like, are they going to attack one after another to try to break the other guys, or are they going to do a Team X train for the sprint?
So what do you think, Quentin? I mean, I would think that the attack one after another and set up for the getaway, or at least wear the other riders out so they don't have a sprint at the end, is kind of the way to go when you have this many teammates. Or, I mean, because the reality of racing in Zwift is finding the right wheel at the right time, and the right lead out is not always really going to work too well in the sprint, and it's kind of a little bit of a dice roll. Now here we go right away. Shum, after saying suffering a lot in the chat, kicks 7 watts per kilogram and forces a chase there from Gren, then Grimshaw as well, and Little sits in right along with Gray. So I think that's probably the better tactic on Zwift and Zwift racing, is to throw those legs, the power out there from the extra legs in the peloton that you got.
Yeah, we are going to see, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Gray would counter right away, but I think other guys are going to try their luck in the first climb of the S's. And we saw yesterday Conley do that as well, and he might be the one to push them to the limit. And we see him, like, right now, and Kim might have watched yesterday's race because he's right in the wheel, and he knows it's a good wheel to hang on to.
Yeah, and here goes Kim now following up Conley. But Conley with that attack initially, I think this is an all-in attack here from Conley at this point. 11 watts per kilogram. This is a full-on, not full-on sprint effort, but definitely like a 30-second, what can I give at this pace? On the other side of the climb here, he's going to try and have a little bit of a gap at this point here. 184 beats per minute. That's about as high as I've seen Conley go, actually, here. Grimshaw able to hang onto that wheel just barely here. Kim Little's right along with him. 169 beats per minute. Webb's able to go as well, but it's a 1 second gap here, and it looks like the rest of the field is out of the race at this point. With only about a K to go, if you're off the back here and this much of a gap, Quentin, you're kind of out of the race, because I don't think they're slowing down up front.
Yeah, like Johnson, we saw Johnson kind of at the back, and he might have been surprised. And if they don't slow down at the front, it might be those 5 guys going for the win. And we saw in the past races that the sprints are launched from way earlier than they used to, and if they launch at the 900 or 800 meters, like it's been the case in the past few races, these guys are gone, and they are going for the win.
I think, though, Conley is going to have to submit not only to ZwiftPower.com, but maybe also to Zwift himself here, because I'm wondering if he got the pro calling.
The triangle? triangle.
Yeah. I wonder if I'm not seeing a triangle here, but he's not. I'm not seeing him in the. But maybe we're having a little bit of a disappearing issue as well here, getting close to the login area out on Zwift. It seems like whenever we're around this area in events, once in a while we do have other dimensions pulling riders out of their suffering for a little bit of a reprieve. I'm not sure if they get a little extra juice or what happens in that other dimension, but once in a while they pop back in up ahead of everybody else. So we'll have to see how it goes here. Now we do see Little up at the front here, backed off actually, not going. Usually this is the point right here. You have to go, and now it's going to be, here we go. We got Gren now kicking up into 1,000 watts or so. Kim Little trying to follow it up here. 14 watts per kilogram coming from the current series leader. And will he be able to take it all the way to the line? We've got Grimshaw right on his wheel here. Let's go ahead and see how this plays out though between the riders here as they're making their way to the line. And it's going to be Grimshaw, I believe, just barely nipping him at the line. Johan Grem, then Kim Little. That is going to be the finishing order between the riders here. Let's go ahead and see if we can get a quick little replay of that. Oh, that was a little bit loud there. Sorry about that, boys and girls. And that's actually Jehu a few days ago. That's the wrong replay. Sorry about that. So there's Jehu suddenly back into the mix there. And we actually brought in the incorrect feed there, boys and girls. We'll see if we can bring the right one in from the replay. I do have, I believe, the make sure I got this right here, and it's going to be, nope, we don't actually have it. I pushed the replay button and it didn't come through. So let's go ahead and get right into the bees, as this is going to be finishing up here, boys and girls. But it was Kim Little not taking the W there. I believe it was Grimshaw across the line. Let's double check zwiftpower.com. Not updated just yet. Grimshaw,
it is.
Gren, Little, Conley, then Webb, I believe. Right, Quentin?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing, and it's interesting because we saw Conley disappear, but it seems like Zwift Power still got the result. So it might just be on our end, like we just didn't see him finish.
Yeah, I think that may be correct. I'll have to double check our network over here, but we are seeing, it looks like Vorovjov here coming out of Russia. Unfamiliar with this rider, absolutely killing it. But as you were saying, the Vikings team in that TOC kit hammering now. Now we're seeing 11 watts per kilogram, but it's going to be Anderson from the Vikings. The next one to come across here out of nowhere here. Anderson with 12 watts per kilogram, 160 beats per minute, almost 1,000 watts to the line. Vikings taking 1-2. It looks like TCAT here, though, from TKBE, going to be coming across the line, I believe, third. Not able to nip him at the line. I do not believe, though, that was able to quite nip the rider there at the line. We'll have to wait and see, though, if that ended up playing out well for them. We're looking through here. I do actually have, it looks like, the Kim Little sprint here. And we need to see if we can bring that on in here. And yeah, here it is. It was Kim Little, Grimshaw. Kim Little went first. Grimshaw able to settle down there, Little across the line. Next, I believe, let's go ahead and look back just a little bit here. See if we can get this in reverse, actually, and get a better look at how exactly that played out with the riders as they came across the line. It was the MC Grimshaw, I believe. Now, I like to.
Are you sure that's this week? That's not this week.
Yeah, that's right here. That's Grimshaw?
No. Yeah,
Little.
but you see Soren Bay. You see Soren Bay in the fourth place.
Soren Bay's in there as well. What is up with that? So this is actually.
That's last week.
Was this last week's sprint? So it's almost a repeat, actually, from last week's sprint, actually. So we actually had. Sorry about that, everybody. We got our new replay feature. It's not behaving for me with the right hotkeys. So there's last week's sprint, and it's actually Grimshaw taking it again. Grim took it again there, boys and girls. So good to see him with the doubling up. And actually, that's interesting because he's at 61 points. Where did Johnson actually end up finishing? Matt Johnson in 7th place, actually. So he might move his way up in the categories here, actually, Quentin. That's definitely some points to be taken at 25 plus 25. And looking at the series rules, the difference from first to seventh is huge. That's actually a big deal there.
Yeah, Grimshaw has been racing on Zwift for quite some time, and we always saw him as a very good sprinter. He's got that very good kick at the end, and yeah, being part of these five at the front, he knew he had a shot, and well, what can you say? Like, uh, just the fact that he beat a guy like Gren in a sprint is saying something, and yeah, I mean, he might be still looking up at the rankings, but yeah, he's going to have to
He's
do
gonna
some
jump
work
up.
to come back on.
I mean, he's
I
going to
think he's
jump
gonna
up
jump
quite a
up
bit, though.
and jump
Yeah, I
up.
mean, he's going to get a solid jump there, I think, from that. I do believe we are going to have a little bit of change up, too, as far as what the actual results are at the end of the day after the organizers get into it. I'm actually seeing a new team launch here. Adam Webb with a new team called One Love, it looks like here. One Love Riders here. Adam Webb, Aaron Locks, and Christian Barholm. So good to see them throwing down and getting a new team out on Zwift here. We'll have to wait and see if they get a kit going together as well. So cool to see the new teams, and hopefully we'll see a new announcement for One Love out there. I'll have to keep track of where that ends up playing, how the signification in game will be. I'm taking a look through the social media here a little bit, see if some of the riders here, we're seeing B riders can sprint at 1,000 watts. Well, a lot of times actually some of our strongest sprinters, Quentin, I think in game a lot of times do come from some of the lower categories actually.
Yeah, like what you have to take into consideration is that a sprint is 15-30 seconds at max, and categories are based on FTP, which is your effort over 1 hour. Well, based on a 20-minute effort, so it's totally different. And a very good, like maybe track rider or something similar, could have a huge sprint and still be in a B, even C category, and that's what you have to take into consideration. Is that the FTP that makes the category doesn't reflect the ability to sprint at the end of a race.
Yeah, definitely. So I completely agree with that. We see it time and again that the riders, based on that category, they might not be able to hang on for the duration of the race, right, Quentin? So, but at the end of the race, when it comes time to throw down just huge watts, man, the bazookas come out, dude, and all of a sudden you see like 1,500 watt sprints right once in a while. And I remember seeing some of these crazy strong sprinting, tracky type riders showing up in the B, D, C category and just demolishing the times on the sprint sections and demolishing the wattages as well out there. So, and Roger's saying Webb was not kicked out of Vision Cycling, Rogers, at all. There was the decision was actually Quentin, being the director sportif of Vision. Why don't you go ahead and have a chat about that? That'd be great, and we'll try and get Webb on as well. But there was definitely no bad blood that I saw whatsoever in that interaction.
Yeah, exactly. Like we had a talk with Adam a couple of days ago. Well, yesterday actually. And we came to, well, he asked me if I was okay with him moving on to another team, but he didn't want to. Well, his first thinking was that there wasn't enough teams on Swift, which I totally agree. And he wanted to make his own team because he was feeling that Vision has reached this stage where we had enough depth in our lineups, in our roster, or whatever you want to call it, to be able to function without him and Aaron and Pear and Ian as well. Ian Appleby is in that group. And they gathered a group of very strong air racer from mostly from Great Britain, And I think, well, he gave me a couple of names. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that right now,
No, leave
and
that
maybe
alone.
I'm gonna leave that alone for now. And like they want to be that one team that basically blows every race out, and they want to they want to have that attacking mentality. And there wasn't like, even to create that team, they all came and asked me if I was okay with it, and of course I'm okay with it because, well, of course we want to have the strongest riders possible, but that's not just about that. Like, our goal is to help the guys make the most of Zwift. And if they think that creating a new team to make racing more fun and having a better experience that they can have, of course we're okay with it, and even better, we support it. And they get the support they need from Vision. And yeah, I mean, this team was launched today, and yeah, I mean, it was an agreement between us that they will like create this new team. And as I understood, they want to, I mean, to live up to the Vision spirit that they have, that they know and that they have known for a year and a half. They want to pass that on to that new team, and I think it's a good thing that more and more teams are going to have that spirit of not only like get results and stuff, but just make the most of Swift as a team.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point you made up front about being at a position where where Vision could get results, and being able to develop another team that can then get into the mix and give people a new place to find a home as well, and a team as well, and develop that into one that can get results on its own as well. So more teams benefits the competition between them all. And I think that's really cool. And I mean, also there may be some directions as a leader that they want to take. And if that's something where somebody always wanted to be able to lead something and be able to have a hand in that, and they could do that with going off and making their own team, I think that's a great endeavor as well. So, super kudos to them. There's no leaving, like, left on his own the way Rogers, drama queen, bringing the drama over here. There's no left, there's no kicked out, there's wanted to make a new team. Super blessing, awesome. Go on and do that awesomeness. And I'm really excited actually that it's called One Love. It's a pretty cool thing. It seems like that they are developing over there. In the midst of a lot of different drama that tends to take place. So, next up, Quentin, what's on your radar for Vision and racing and, the next events that are coming up with Zwift? What's going on with the conversations?
I'm not too sure about that right now. We have, we're going to have a middle winter season that's coming up, like December and January. That's going to be like filled with a couple of events, and for the team it's going to be a time to maybe get some new riders. I know I have a couple of guys waiting for some answers. And racing wise, we have the CVR League coming up next week, and it's going to be interesting to see which riders will end up in which time zones. And it's going to end up to be some pretty fun racing, I think, and pretty interesting to see how the team is going to interact about that, because, well, riders registered in one league will end up meeting in what they call the postseason. But we're going to see some interesting team tactics all winter long, I think.
Yeah, I've cleared the schedule for Tuesdays, and I've registered.
Oh.
Just so you know.
That's cool. That's cool.
I've cleared the schedule
given
for Tuesdays.
Given the time zone I asked for, we might race together.
Oh boy! So I've cleared the schedule for ZCL for coverage as well as registered myself. Now we'll see how that ends up playing out if I'm actually going to end up being able to race, but we're definitely looking forward to that on Tuesdays, as well as the eCrit series later in the week, I believe. So lots going on in the racing scene, that's for sure. What's going on now? We've got comments coming through saying that Quentin's joining One Love. What the? These guys are just trying to cause controversy at this point now. Kim Little saying that pastries are the only thing on Quentin's radar. I love Kim Little. Sorry we didn't get the instant replay, right, guys. I would have loved to have that, actually, but I just noticed what the problem was. I never hit the record button, so it's just a blank black screen, and that was the problem, and that's why it was playing through. We can look at last week's sprint all day long, but it was actually very similar to this week's, actually, and kudos to Grimshaw. Yeah. As well as, let's go ahead and take a quick look real quick here one more time at the live results, actually, from ZwiftPower.com. I'm going to go ahead and click through and find those. It's a whole new website over at ZwiftPower.com, so I got to reorient myself. But Grimshaw, Gren, and then Little, followed by Lucas Conley, Adam Webb. In the B category, then it was Bart Anderson, Vikings killing it there. But Stephen Tickett, where I wasn't sure if he was able to grab the result there from Bernstein actually, but he was able to get it at second place for TKBE there, followed up by Bernstein there in third place. Looking through then for the C category, as we weren't able to catch any of that. Man, well over 100 racers, 300 racers, excuse me, showing up to this. Alexander Knoll there for first, followed up by Rickard Johansson and Richard Dalen, actually. And they're actually all within category limits, Quentin. Have you noticed maybe people behaving a little better, or has it gotten more out of control in your experience recently?
Well, I think people are now coming to terms with how to put yourself in the right category, especially in winter when training matters more than racing. And well, afterwards, well, on the results, we still see people going over category limits. And I think now that the big race of the year being behind us, I'm talking about the Team Worlds, people are more open to move on and to the upper categories than they would be before that kind of race. And that, I hope that will translate in better category distribution and, well, rider behaving like more to what they should in terms of FTP and category. And one thing we have to remember as well is that Zwift is now in his third or fourth year of existence, and there's not the new waves that we saw in the first years. So riders are more experimented now, and they interact with more experimented riders as well. And I think that results in what we see is a decrease of DQ for over category limits. People know what they're entering more than they used to in the past few years, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely true. You got this bulk of riders that have a lot of experience with the platform and how the results end up playing out. So in the D category, I definitely want to shout out there. We got Sebastian Volders, followed up by Jeffrey Betrimus. How do we say that? Jeffrey? It's a French name. It's a French name, and I can't get that one. But we've got the professional over here. 220th place overall.
Oh, it's Geoffrey Betramieux.
Betramieux, look at that. Oh my goodness. The education is amazing. But these guys are all over category limits,
still
actually.
Said with an English accent, but you know. I can't say it in total French because I'm going to get lynched for that.
Morten Kalett Peterson actually taking the category win, I believe, within the limits with a registered ZwiftPower.com account, actually. Stefan Carlson, followed by Thomas Zawadzki coming out of Poland. Nice job to those guys. in the D category. All right, speak now, forever hold your peace, boys and girls. We are going to be done for the day. I'm looking at our social media interactions still, but next up, we will be doing the Kiss EU race, and then Friday we're going to try and have a community chat here on Zwift Community Live, and then we are going to be doing the WBR 24-hour event with rides going on all day long, live streaming all day long, right here on Zwift Community Live. If you haven't done so already, head on over to our Twitch channel, hit that follow button. That's going to be our main hub, actually, for the WBR event, with abilities to go and donate to WBR at the Twitch channel, and lots of hype going on, as well as looking for all of the highlights we can get around others who are live streaming during the event as well. Quentin, it was a good race today. It was really great to have you. Hopefully we'll have you back, I think maybe in the next day or two for some more races.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, this one was a fun one, and I hope tomorrow and the days after will live up to that.
All right, sounds good, Quentin. Kiss EU. We might be seeing Quentin tomorrow, it sounds like, as well. All right, Quentin, have a good day. Thanks for joining the broadcast. Quentin Fay, our French correspondent, coming from ZCL here, jumping in. I'm Nathan Garrett, coming at you from ZCL headquarters here. That was the SZR Autumn Race Series. Great job to all of the racers, as always. Solid effort out there. And as always, everybody, a big old ride on. We'll see you tomorrow for the Kiss EU race.